The vastness of space was a familiar companion to Alex Crowe, but tonight, as he floated in the observation deck of the orbital station, an unsettling silence pressed against him. The stars, usually a source of wonder, seemed distant and cold. His gaze drifted to Earth below, its cerulean surface marred by an ominous shadow creeping across the continents. A sudden jolt shook the station, alarms blaring to life. Alex's communicator crackled, the voice of Dr. Ilara Thorne cutting through the chaos. "Alex, we need you in the command center, now." Racing through the corridors, Alex's mind churned with questions. Reaching the command center, he was met with a flurry of activity, faces etched with fear. "What's happening?" Ilara turned, her expression grim. "We've lost contact with Mars colony." All systems went dark simultaneously. Before Alex could respond, the main screen flickered, displaying a live feed from a deep space probe. A colossal, amorphous entity loomed, its surface pulsating with an eerie luminescence. "Is that?" "Yes," Ilara confirmed. "It's moving toward Earth." The room fell silent as the realization settled in. Humanity was facing an unknown adversary, and time was running out. Alex clenched his fists, determination igniting within him. "We need a plan." Ilara nodded, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Agreed, let's get to work." As they delved into strategizing, the weight of the impending threat pressed upon them, but so did the resilience of the human spirit. As the command center buzzed with frantic energy, Alex Crowe felt a weight settle on his shoulders. The image of the colossal entity moving toward Earth replayed in his mind, each iteration more ominous than the last. Dr. Ilara Thorne stood beside him, her usual composed demeanor now tinged with urgency. "Alex, we need to understand what we're dealing with," she said, her voice steady but laced with concern. He nodded, tearing his gaze from the screen. "Agreed, let's gather all available data and see if we can find any patterns or weaknesses." Hours blurred as the team delved into the information, analyzing and hypothesizing. Despite their efforts, the entity remained an enigma, its intentions and capabilities shrouded in mystery. Just as frustration began to mount, a junior officer burst into the room, eyes wide with alarm. "Sir, ma'am, you need to see this." They followed him to a secondary console, where a live feed displayed a small spacecraft approaching the entity. The pilot's voice crackled over the speakers, filled with a mix of fear and determination. "This is Lieutenant Harris. I'm initiating first contact." Before anyone could respond, a blinding light engulfed the feed, and the transmission cut off abruptly. The room fell into a stunned silence. Ilara's face paled. "We just lost him." Alex clenched his fists, a surge of resolve hardening his features. "We can't afford to lose anyone else. It's time to think outside the box." Ilara met his gaze, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "What are you suggesting?" He took a deep breath, the weight of his next words heavy in the air. "We need to approach this differently. Conventional methods aren't working." She studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right, Alex, let's hear your plan." As they huddled together, formulating a strategy that defied standard protocols, a sense of hope began to permeate the room. The journey ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but with determination and ingenuity, they prepared to face the unknown. As the hours turned into days, the weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon the team. Alex Crowe, ever the optimist, found himself grappling with the enormity of their predicament. The entity's relentless advance toward Earth left little room for error. In the dimly lit strategy room, holographic projections displayed various simulations, each ending in grim outcomes. Dr. Ilara Thorne, her face illuminated by the soft glow, broke the silence. "We've exhausted all conventional strategies," she admitted, frustration evident in her tone. Alex leaned back, his mind racing. "Maybe it's time we consider unconventional methods." Ilara raised an eyebrow. "Such as?" A spark ignited in Alex's eyes. "What if we exploit its energy absorption, overload it with more than it can handle?" Ilara pondered this, then nodded slowly. "It's risky, but it might just work." As they set the plan into motion, the team worked tirelessly, each member driven by a shared determination. The day of reckoning approached, and with it, a mix of hope and trepidation. On the eve of their mission, Alex stood alone, gazing at the stars. Ilara approached, her presence a comforting anchor. "Nervous?" she asked softly. He chuckled. "A little, but we've come this far, no turning back now." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Whatever happens, it's been an honor." The next morning, as the entity loomed ever closer, the team executed their plan. Energy beams converged on the entity, and for a moment, it seemed to falter. But then, an unexpected surge sent shockwaves through their systems. Alarms blared, and chaos erupted. Alex's heart pounded as he realized the entity was adapting faster than anticipated. Desperation clawed at him, but he refused to surrender. "We need to amplify the output," he shouted over the din. "But the reactors can't handle it," a technician replied. Ilara met Alex's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. "Do it." With a deep breath, Alex initiated the override. The facility trembled as power levels soared. The entity writhed, its form destabilizing. Just as it seemed victory was within reach, a massive explosion rocked the base. Sparks flew, and darkness enveloped them. When the dust settled, Alex found himself amidst the wreckage, pain searing through his body. He searched for Ilara, relief flooding him as he saw her stirring nearby. "We did it," she whispered, a faint smile on her lips. Exhausted but triumphant, Alex nodded. "Yeah, we did." As they awaited rescue, the realization of their achievement began to sink in. Against all odds, they had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. As the dust settled from the explosion, Alex Crowe's ears rang with a piercing silence. Consoles sparked and screens shattered. Pain radiated through his body, but the urgency of their mission propelled him to move. He scanned the debris-strewn room, heart pounding until he spotted Dr. Ilara Thorne, pinned under a fallen beam, her face contorted in pain. "Ilara!" he shouted, scrambling over the wreckage to reach her. Her eyes fluttered open, a weak smile forming. "Alex, we need to finish this." He nodded, determination hardening his resolve. "Hold on, I'll get you out." Using every ounce of strength, Alex lifted the beam, freeing Ilara. She winced as she sat up, but her gaze was unwavering. The entity, it's still advancing. Alex helped her to her feet, both leaning on each other for support. "We need to initiate the manual override. It's our last shot." Together, they stumbled toward the central control panel, now a mangled mess of wires and circuits. Ilara's fingers danced over the controls, her expertise evident even in this dire state. "The system's fried," she muttered, "but if we reroute power from the auxiliary cores, we might generate enough energy for one final surge." Alex's mind raced, but that could cause a meltdown. She met his gaze, eyes steely. "It's a risk we have to take." With no time to debate, they set to work, hands trembling but precise. As they connected the final circuit, the facility hummed with a deep, resonant power. "Ready?" Alex asked, his voice barely audible over the rising crescendo. Ilara nodded, her expression a mix of fear and determination. "Do it!" Alex slammed the activation lever. A blinding light enveloped them as the energy surged toward the entity. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stand still. Then, a deafening roar, its form fracturing under the immense power. But as victory seemed within grasp, the ground beneath them quaked violently. The overloaded reactors were reaching critical mass. "We need to evacuate now," Alex yelled, grabbing Ilara's hand. They dashed through collapsing corridors, the facility crumbling around them. Just as they reached the exit, a massive explosion propelled them forward, throwing them into the cold expanse of the surface. Gasping for breath, Alex looked back to see the facility engulfed in flames, but the sky above was clear. The entity had disintegrated. Ilara coughed, a strained laugh escaping her lips. We did it." Relief washed over Alex, tears mingling with the grime on his face. "Yeah, we did." As sirens wailed in the distance, signaling the arrival of rescue teams, Alex and Ilara lay side by side, the weight of their victory settling in. Against insurmountable odds, they had faced the unknown and emerged triumphant, a testament to the unyielding spirit of humanity. As the rescue teams arrived, Alex Crowe and Dr. Ilara Thorne were airlifted to a medical facility, their bodies battered but spirits unbroken. Days turned into weeks as they recovered, the world outside slowly returning to a semblance of normalcy. The entity that had once threatened Earth's existence was now a distant memory, its remnants scattered across the cosmos. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the hospital grounds, Alex sat by the window, deep in thought. The door creaked open, and Ilara entered, walking with the aid of a cane but smiling warmly. "Mind if I join you?" she asked. He gestured to the chair beside him. "Please." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sky transition to twilight. "Hard to believe it's over," Ilara murmured. Alex nodded. "We faced the unimaginable and came out on the other side." She turned to him, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and something deeper. "I couldn't have done it without you." He met her gaze, a smile tugging at his lips. "Nor I without you." As they shared this quiet moment, the bond forged in the crucible of crisis became evident. Their partnership had evolved into something profound, built on trust, respect, and shared sacrifice. Suddenly, the room's intercom buzzed, breaking the tranquility. "Dr. Thorne, Mr. Crowe, you have visitors." Exchanging curious glances, they made their way to the hospital's atrium. To their astonishment, a crowd had gathered, colleagues, friends, and even strangers whose lives had been touched by their actions. A representative from the Global Council stepped forward, holding a small, ornate box. "In recognition of your unparalleled bravery and ingenuity, we present you both with the Medal of Earth's Guardians." Emotion welled up as the medals were placed around their necks. The room erupted in applause. But for Alex and Ilara, the true reward was the knowledge that they had safeguarded their home and its inhabitants. Later that night, as the celebrations waned, Alex found himself back at the window, gazing at the stars. Ilara joined him once more, and they stood in companionable silence. "What's next for us?" she asked softly. He pondered for a moment before replying. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." She smiled, a sense of peace settling over them. Together. As the night deepened, the two heroes looked to the future, ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited, their spirits intertwined, and their resolve unwavering.